Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jacqueline Reed, the manager of the Blue Springs South Library. And this is our third or fourth Power Hour this year. We started in February instead of January. And so today we have Michael Montague from Sandler Training. He and his dad own, it's a consulting firm, and I know he's done training for us on time management, which has been awesome. I all of a sudden have all the time in the world. Thank you, Michael. And today he's going to teach us how to do some networking. So welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you. We're talking about networking today. That encompasses a lot of stuff. About me, I am a former radio DJ and karaoke host all through my 20s and stuff. I was Romeo on Mix 93.3 and 105.1 Jack FM. So I'm used to being in front of 400 drunk people. Anything you do today will not throw me off my game. I don't have any notes up here. We're not going through a big thing. So if you have any questions, shout them out. We'll deal with it. You can raise your hand, do whatever you want to do, and we'll be all right there. As far as Sandler Training goes, it's been around for about 40 years, started in Baltimore by a guy named David Sandler. My dad was one of the first 40 franchise locations here in Kansas City 20 years ago, and I took the first classes when I was a junior in high school. I've been working with him for the last 4 years, doing training on topics like these, and time management and sales and customer service and management. What you're going to hear a little bit of today is our networking program, which was compiled from all of the 250 Sandler trainers we now have in 31 countries, some best practices for how to maximize networking. And we know that networking does work. You can build your business, you can get easier sales through referrals, you can do a lot of cool things with networking, but it's not typically anything we learn in school. There's a lot of people out there winging it. So hopefully what we can do today is put a little bit of a system and some things together that'll help you make it a little bit easier. All right. So first thing, what is networking? Networking is not selling. That's the first mistake we see a lot of people make is they come to a chamber event and they want to sell everybody in the room their products or services. If you do that, you can get some sales out of it. But the problem is usually networking groups are not big enough to sustain that for very long. If there's 50 people at an event, you can run through all 50 people pretty fast and then there's nothing to do after that. And that's where people get frustrated and they feel like they're wasting their time and things. What we found is if you use networking to build relationships that can introduce you to other people, then that can be sustainable forever. People are always meeting new people and building their own networks that they can continually introduce you to people and build an ongoing stream of qualified referrals over time. And then the stronger those relationships become, the more valuable they become, and the more it helps you grow your business. And the last thing is networking is best for mutual gain. It doesn't make sense to always be a taker and seeing what you can get out of the chamber. Networking is really like life and everything else, that the more you give and the more effort you put into it, the more you get out of it. So specifically for you guys, I'm guessing that there is a reason that you are here this morning. So what is not working about your networking? And what would you like for us to cover? Was there anything that you were hoping you would hear this morning if you're struggling with networking?
Just how to start conversations, small talk, that kind of
Good.
thing.
Starting conversations is one we get a lot. That leads to the other one, if nobody's going to say it. Politely ending conversations is one that I get a lot. So we'll talk about that. Good. Anybody else have anything?
Just how to work when you're not a natural extrovert.
Good. Good. We can definitely deal with that. It's not a natural thing for a lot of people. And to be honest with you, the ones that it is a natural thing for, they make a lot of mistakes too, because then they're the ones that people are trying to get away from and end conversations on. Or they get distracted by a lot of people and they like the people stuff, but they don't follow up, so they don't get things out of it either. So we found the mid-range is really the ideal spot that you want to be. You have to be extroverted enough to talk to somebody, but not so much that you overpower people. That's good. Any other thoughts? Come up with some others. We'll go through the regular ones. We'll definitely hit all of those. So that's good. So in Sandler training, we found that problems come in a lot of shapes and sizes. And what I want to talk to you about this morning is going to have to be mostly conceptual stuff, because we don't have a lot of time to practice and get into technically or write out scripts of what exactly you say. And scripts don't really help that much either, because then you just sound like a robot going around to people. So sometimes there are you don't know what to do, and sometimes it's you don't know how to do it. So as we move through here this morning, if you feel like you're missing one part or the other of that, stop and ask me a question. And we'll try and deal mostly with conceptual stuff, because that's what we have the time and resources to do this morning. But if you have a technical question, we have stuff like that. Other thing we have to deal with is some life scripts. So we were talking about kids this morning, and what do you tell your kids about talking to strangers when they're kids? Don't talk to strangers. Strangers are scary. Don't take candy and things. And then they come into business and we say, hey, go talk to strangers and have some of these donuts we brought you. So we have these life scripts that we learn, and in psychology we know that the first 6 years of life are the most powerful. We learn how to behave in the world by watching and taking in our surroundings for the first 6 years of our life. After that, we do a lot of replaying the scripts that we've already learned, and we adjust stuff in our adults. But we got a lot of life scripts about don't talk to strangers, speak when spoken to, be quiet, kids are to be seen, not heard, and don't talk about money. And then we get into sales and they say, hey, go talk to strangers about money. And we have to relearn a lot of stuff that can cause emotional feelings in us and childhood-like feelings of uncertainty and fear and anxiousness that doesn't really have any purpose as an adult. So when we deal with some of that, just think about it for yourself. And think about it from an adult perspective is that a rational concern now as an adult? Is that something that I should be worried about? And try to reset it for yourself. Last thing is a thing called self-deception. And what that means is a lot of us can't see our own challenges because we're doing what we think is best. We say you can't read the label from inside the bottle. So have you ever seen somebody that's really gregarious and outgoing and shoving business cards in everybody's hand? And you're like, oh man, if that guy would just shut up and listen for a second, he'd be great. Well, that guy is doing what he thinks is best and what gets him the best results. So he doesn't know that there is a problem, but everybody else outside can see that it's a problem for him. So what I want to do this morning is hopefully give you some ideas you haven't thought about before, so that it's some outside feedback on what is best, and then you can re-examine your behavior and see if it fits. Does that make sense? There's also another interesting thing to self-deception, which is the harder you work, the less results you get if you have a self-deception problem. So that guy who's going out and he's like, I gave my business cards to 50 people and nobody bought anything this morning. I guess I got to go do it for 100 people. Well, what happens? He makes the problem exponentially worse by trying harder at the wrong thing. So if you feel like at any time you're trying too hard to get things or things are too difficult, take a step back again, look at it from an adult perspective, or talk to somebody else, coach, mentor, friend, and say, what am I missing here? There's something outside that I'm not seeing from inside myself. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions? They're hard to identify. We call them blind spots for a reason because we can't see them. But a lot of times other people can do that, and coaches and mentors and bosses are the best at helping you find those things and get better. And it's in any area of life, not just networking. Well, step one in really accomplishing anything or getting better at anything is setting some goals. We have the SMART goal format that we like. Good goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. I don't want you to get too hung up on the format or how to do anything. The important thing is it has to be something that you can check off the list as a goal that you know when you got it. If you say, I want more business from the chamber, what's more? How much more? When do we stop? When do we know that we got more than we did previously? So it needs to be something of like, I want to get 5 new clients this year through my chamber networking. When we get to 5, we can check it off and say, hey, we did it. It's one of the things a lot of people struggle with in networking is it can be something you can do all the time. It's like selling and marketing. How much money do you put into marketing? Well, I guess we can spend all we have, right, and keep trying and trying. But if you don't have specific goals, you're either not going to do enough or you're going to feel stressed trying to keep going to all of them. We know in networking, there's an event or a happy hour or a lunch and learn or something every single day of the week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. that you could do. So if you don't have specific goals of what you're trying to accomplish, you can really get frustrated and stressed about how much time and effort you're putting into things, resources, and the results you're getting out of it. So 3 things to set goals in. First is the time and effort. How many events you want to attend. I recommend a per week number usually, unless monthly fits more than you. But typically, more than 2 events a week, it gets really hard to follow up and do the appropriate things that you need to do. If you're attending an event every day, you have to then follow up, sell, and run your business and everything else. After that, it becomes overwhelming. So like 2 a week is a good balance. Second thing is you need to know what you're looking for, who your ideal client is, and what your target is, and what you're trying to accomplish. So we need to set some goals for, I want to get introductions to these people. And as specific as you can be is best. So if I know I want to be introduced to Adams Dairy Bank, that becomes an easy thing to do. I can go out and find people who know somebody at Adams Dairy Bank, and then I can get that done and check it off the list. If I say, our product works for everybody, anybody can buy this, well, how do I find anybody? And how do I ask somebody else to introduce me to anybody? So as specific and measurable as you can get on your targets will take a lot of stress off and help you manage the process. And the third thing is the results, and the results are least important. But how many people do you want to meet? How many sales do you want to make? How many referral relationships, introductions, how many groups do you want to join? What's the end result you're hoping to accomplish from your networking? If you know those 3 things, it should make the whole process a lot easier for you. Questions on that? Can you think of anything else you need a goal for?
Well, what if you're just trying to meet people? What if you're a new chamber member or you're on a new committee or you're new in town?
Good. So a lot of people set some fun goals like that. And if your job is more of a PR job and it's not really a measurable sales thing, but you want to increase your brand awareness, you can set measurable goals for doing that. Like, I want to meet someone from each company in the chamber directory and start checking them off as you meet somebody from every one. Or there's a great book that says never eat alone, but schedule a lunch meeting with somebody from the chamber every day that you have open for lunch and get to know somebody in a longer format than the 2-hour ones. Does that help? So there are some things that you can do, but we found if you don't have goals, you end up finding a couple people you like and always talking to the same people, and you don't grow, or people go the opposite way and go shallow with everybody, but they never build deep relationships with the people they want. So what I recommend is going wide, meeting everybody, but then qualifying or disqualifying those relationships quickly, and then going deep with the 20 or so people that you really like and would be most valuable for you. Anything else?
Well, another example would be when they come to our luncheons or any other kind of luncheon, they don't sit with their friends every time. They try to sit with different people every time. So that's what those are.
Oh, I thought another one too. Introverted people, set a goal to meet 5 people and get 5 business cards and then quit. And what we found is if you put measurable things like that, you can get up the energy and say, all right, I can go introduce myself to 5 people, and then give yourself permission to stop. And the other way is, if you've only met 4 and the event's ending, Go find somebody, go do something that will help you move and do that. So even tiny goals like that can be fun. Any other thoughts? No? Good? Don't want to spend too much time on this one, but I found that these 4 things are critical for getting yourself prepared from those emotional standpoints to go out and network. How committed to it are you? Do you believe this will work? That the chamber would bring you more benefit if you figured out a way to work it correctly? Are you committed to doing whatever it takes and showing up to the events and stuff? We all know those companies that have paid their membership dues and then never showed up to anything for the rest of the year. And how much do they get out of it? So the ones that are committed get the best results. Attitude is the second biggest thing, core thing we need to talk about, which is if you come in grumpy and you sit on the back wall and make angry faces at people, how much business do you think you're going to get out of that? How much benefit from an event? So you can say, well, I showed up and nobody did anything. So same thing. I joined the chamber, nothing happened on number 1. Number 2, I went to the breakfast and nothing happened. Well, you were sitting there like angry, eating your donut and drinking your coffee, that you didn't talk to anybody. So having the right attitude of getting yourself pumped up and say, all right, I can do this. Whether it's the 20 seconds of courage to just go up and talk to somebody, or just saying, I'm going to have fun for the next hour and see how many people I can meet. Getting in the right frame of mind is crucial. Passion is another thing. Could be passionate about anything, but really it's about your job and what you're trying to accomplish. If you're not excited about, I don't know who's in the room, so I'll guess one randomly. I have a client that sells toilet paper and janitorial supplies, right? He's actually really passionate about it. He enjoys working it and figuring it out and all the stuff, and there's some intricacies to it. But if you're not excited about selling toilet paper, then you go in and people say, what do you do? And you go, I sell toilet paper. Well, nobody wants to buy from that guy, right? He gets excited about, helping people save money and figuring out the logistics of everything else. So if you're not excited about what you do, there's 2 things you can do. Find something else or get passionate about it, but that's up to you. Last one is my personal favorite for networking, and actually this is one that changed my networking, which is taking responsibility for the outcome. I had a sales coach come in from our national office, and he was doing a talk similar to this, and he said, do you sit back at a networking event and say, when will somebody notice me? Or do you sit back and say, when am I going to do something that's worthy of being noticed? And that question really changed my perspective of networking, because I was getting frustrated that I wasn't getting the traction or meeting the people that I wanted, and I'm like, I don't understand how I can't get in there. And then when I took the personal responsibility of it, it's like, well, I can do something to get noticed. I was on the radio, I'm a karaoke guy, I can do things, I get in front of a crowd, I can get noticed. So why don't I take the responsibility and go do that? So if you're going to complain about the results you're doing, you got to take responsibility for that and say, I can't get a meeting with so-and-so. Well, when was the last time you tried? What did you do about it? Find somebody else that knows them. Do something nice for them. If you give referrals to other people, they notice you. And if you do talks like this one and other things, or you sponsor an event, you get more noticed than people that sit back and say, nobody's noticing me. Make sense? Good. Questions on any of those 4? The good ones. A couple other things on the foundations is be prepared. Bring the business cards. Dress appropriately for the situation. I am a little overdressed this morning, but I'm speaking and got some other things going on this afternoon. The ideal way to dress is to match everybody else that's in the audience. So if you're in a subcontractors association where everybody wears jeans and a polo and they're all construction guys, jeans and a polo are fine. If you're in a financial services networking group and everybody's in a suit and tie, probably time to wear the suit and tie. So the best rule here is to remember, mirror and match what other people are doing. Again, I told you about the self-deception thing. 99% of people are doing what they think is best. There's 1% crazy self-sabotaging people that are just trying to ruin their own life. Everybody else is already doing what they think is best. So if you thought a polo was the best thing to wear this morning, that's what you put on, right? So if somebody else wears a polo, you say, hey, you're wearing the best thing to wear to this event this morning. So think about it that way. It goes the same way for how you introduce yourself, how much you talk about yourself. People are always doing what they think is best. So if you do what they do, you're doing the best to relate to them. People that are outgoing like outgoing people. People that are introverted like introverted people. So it's a really cool thing to mirror and match. And it's a simple rule to help you answer any of those questions we don't get to today. Smile therapy, there's a lot of cheesy stuff. I'm not a big on the cheesy ones. But, smiles are contagious. People like to approach people that are smiling if you have the grumpy face on. It actually, there's biological studies that it makes you happier if you start smiling first. So get happy, walk in, start smiling at people, and people will smile back at you. That makes you feel better, and it starts a positive cycle rather than the other way around. If you go in with the grumpy face, people look at you and give you a weird look, and then you're like, why is he looking at me weird? And it's a downward spiral. Handshakes, I always cover this one. Straight up and down, 2 or 3 shakes, and let go. We got some people that like to double fist it, like to hang on for a long time or pull people in close. Over the top is considered aggressive, and under is considered passive. So you want to go straight up and down, 3 shakes, and let go. Don't usually have to cover that with experienced business people.
Okay, I was in a conversation with someone and explaining handshakes and what to do and not to do. And to actually take someone's hand like this is not good.
No.
But I don't remember why. And you see people do it all the time. I know.
So it's taking control is why.
Oh,
You're
it's
taking
taking
control
control.
and the power from the other person is you're capturing them.
Now, is that a bad thing?
Not necessarily. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Mhm.
So
I just thought it was a really nice thing. I don't remember ever doing it, but it just seems friendly or something.
So it's one that is interesting. I actually know the numbers on this one. 28% of the population likes to be touched. People are huggers. They touch, they tap you on the shoulder, they pat you on the back, like to be touched. The rest of the population is either neutral, and there are about 27% that hate it. A good rule of thumb, it's a generality, so I'm kind of stereotyping here a little bit, but the ones that are very detail-oriented, like accountants and engineers and architects, they don't like people in their space. So they keep a bubble around them, and they don't like people invading it. And so if you're doing extra touching or patting or the hugs, people that are of that personality type don't like to be touched. So as a general rule, keep it straight up and down. But if somebody, again, mirror and match. If somebody takes your hand and shakes it, or they're a hugger, you can hug them back, and then they'll feel like they like you and that it's warm and fuzzy and appropriate. What you don't want to do is cross the line and do that for people who don't like you.
I
In
think we're
general.
all hungry. I know I am.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of huggers
Yeah.
around here.
And I'm a toucher.
Yes.
I know.
Good.
So sit on your hand and sit.
Yeah.
Wait to be touched.
So try to, until somebody else. So what I do is just wait a second. If there's any question, I go straight out with the hand. And I personally am one that doesn't like to be hugged. And I go straight out with the hand, and people like knock it out of the way and come in for the hug. You're like, whoa, like I don't even know you yet. Like, let's take a step back. So what I do, though, most of the time is wait for them to move. So if somebody puts a hand out, they want a hand out. If somebody comes in with 2 hands or puts their arm around you, then you can put it around them and wait and match. It's interesting, but it makes a big difference on whether people like you and trust you and allows the relationship to build.
So, if someone gives you the double handshake like that, that would be a clue that they are possibly a hugger, a toucher.
You have to pay more attention.
And you can do that back to them, is the other one. So, politely ending conversations. You might want to write this one down. If not, it's pretty easy. But line is, sounds like an interesting business you're in. We only have X amount of time left, and there are still some people I'd like to meet.
Oh, gosh.
Say that
Was
again.
that bad?
I'm gonna say it again, say it slower.
Sounds like an interesting business you're in. There's only about 5 minutes left, and there's a couple of other people I wanted to meet.
So I'm through with you, goodbye.
Close. So the last part can change depending on whether you like this person or not. The one I like to use the best is there anybody that I can introduce you to? So I'm not saying, peace out, goodbye. I'm saying, can I pass you along to somebody else? Or you can say, I look forward to seeing you again if you look forward to seeing me. That's the best way. I've never had anybody really balk at that. They go, oh, yeah, especially if it's a networking event. You go, oh, yeah, we should go meet other people. And things. Mix it up, and I've never had anybody. You can, I like passing them off. Is there anybody that I can introduce you to? Is the best way that I politely end conversation.
Then do the other people get annoyed at you because you passed someone off?
That's, again, it depends on who I'm talking to. So if I know they're a little off or dominant, I can pass them off to somebody else who's really outgoing. Then hopefully they'll get along. Or I try not to do that, end that way. The other thing you'll find is that people that are very outgoing know that they're very outgoing. So if you cut them off like that, they go, oh, I'm so sorry, I was talking too much. And they don't take it personally. They don't care. So really outgoing people are completely comfortable with that. Anything else on that one? Can you do that? All right. We talked about this one a little bit, but drilling down into your ideal market is figuring out what you're there to do, who you want to meet. So who are they? What do they need? What are their common problems? Who's the most profitable client for you? And who benefits from you the most? If you start narrowing that down, it will help you narrow your focus on your networking. You won't feel frustrated like it's just a spaghetti approach, that you're throwing stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks, that you can actually have a narrowed focus and say, okay, I need to go meet banks. If you need to meet financial advisors or insurance salesmen, start networking, because you can't, stretch your arm without hitting one. So if you know those things, who you're looking for, it makes the scavenger hunt a whole lot easier. So if you haven't done this with your organization, walk through it and find out who those people are. Second thing is, who knows who you want to know? So typically, you're not the only person calling on these people. Again, I'll just keep using my bank example. If you want to call on banks, there are other people that also call on banks all of the time. If you meet them, they can introduce you to a lot of banks because they have clients in all of those areas. So you got to know who you're looking for first, then think about who knows who those people, and you'll end up in a really good spot. Good? All right. Now it's time for you to do a little work, homework. I apologize. It's called networking, not net sitting. Okay. All right, on the back of the handouts, I see a couple people missing some, so I might need to grab some of those over there. I have these set up for your 30-second commercials. We're going to talk about starting the conversation for Bonnie. What I found is if you start the conversation right, it's a whole lot easier than starting talking about the weather and then trying to work it back to business later. What we found is the first one is a don't. Don't talk about any of your features and benefits of your company or your product or service. People really don't care. The rule is people don't care until they know how much you care. So talk generally about what you do and start broad, and then if they want details, you can share the details later. So that's the first place to start. Second thing is, nobody cares how long you've been in business and your history and all of that kind of stuff. What they care about is the emotional connection. So anytime you can put in emotional trigger words, feelings into your 30-second commercial or your starting of your conversation, the more easy it will come and the more easy it is for people to talk about it. Third tip before we write down is have a unique selling proposition. If you sound like everybody else, then people put you into that group and they make assumptions about it and you don't have very interesting conversations. So the first part of that is if any of your competitors can say that, it's not a good thing to share with somebody. So how many people in here have good customer service? All right, good. So have you ever heard anybody say they have bad customer service? Right? So putting that into an introduction or something, people go, oh, okay, yeah, right, great customer service, sure. Right? So same thing with all of those generic things like quality and value and stuff. Those words don't mean anything to people. I'm going to give you an example now of an emotional word. We work with people who struggle with their networking skills, and they're trying to figure out how to make their chamber memberships and their referral groups work for them. Does that sound a little more interesting? Then we do corporate training for Fortune 500 companies since 1963 and in 23 countries and 11 different languages. Do you care? So when I'll help you write these here in a second, but think about that. Like you're talking to your friend at a dinner party or something, and they say, what do you do? What do you tell them? You don't tell them the background and the whole company history. You say, I do blank. Keep it really simple, and then we'll work in some of these emotional words. So, step one is the introduction, really simply in one sentence. How do you say what you do that everybody gets? If you're talking to your friend at a dinner party or a 5th grade class on career day, what do you do? I'm so-and-so with blank, and I do blank. Write it down there under step one. Okay, volunteer, who wants to share? You volunteer all the time.
I know.
All right, go for it. Yeah, would you?
Okay. I'm Sandy Goebel. My company is Digital Technologies. I'm in business to save your business money, adding to your bottom line.
Okay, close. We went a little bit too far on that one because we went into what the second one is. So thank you for sharing. There's a free Sandler book for you for volunteering.
Are you going to tell me what I did wrong?
I am.
Okay. Are you going to let me
So start back again, just the first part of that sentence.
Pardon me?
Say it again.
Say it again.
I'm Sandy Goebel. My company is Digital Technologies.
Okay. What does digital technologies do?
I'm in the business to save your business money.
All right, but lots of people are in the business of saving money. What do you actually do?
Well, I have several products and services I offer.
Okay.
A couple would be helping you save money on your credit card processing. Another would be, oh crap, phones.
It's all right. That's why I rewarded you with the book, because we're doing this and we're testing, and we got the cameras and stuff. So it's just really, if you're talking, you know, we met.
Mobile marketing, that's
Okay.
another big one.
Okay, perfect. So those are the two that I would say. Your name with Digital Technologies. We do credit card processing and mobile marketing.
Mobile marketing.
What does mobile marketing mean? Is that,
Text marketing,
okay, and text message.
permission-based text marketing.
Yeah, perfect. That's it. We know that we have about 7 to 10 seconds to get somebody's attention. Otherwise, they start tuning out. So if we make that sentence really long, or we go on for 30 seconds immediately without a break, we need to get them emotionally engaged. So we want this less than 7 seconds, and just really simple. I'm with Digital Technologies. We do credit card processing and mobile text message marketing. Perfect. Now we're going to get into the why you do stuff in the next one. Does anybody else have a question on theirs? Is yours simple? 3 parts? Name,
I do
company?
have a question.
Yeah.
So the why part that Sandy was saying, that develops after you have a conversation.
Right.
See, in our circumstance, a lot of times we'll tell people, I'll say, I'm Jacqueline and I'm from the library, and people just have this natural, stereotypical picture of what the library is. And so, I mean, a lot of times it's friendly and it engages people in conversation, but really what we want to say is, we're not the library that you think you know. You know, we have so much more to offer, but how do you get to that when they all, you know, are like, oh, nice and friendly, and think they can move on because they think they know what the library is?
Most of the time, people will give you another opportunity. But what I'm thinking is, we could put something in there about the programs or things that you offer at the library. So you can say, I'm with the library. We do programs and business outreach and consulting or training and all of the other stuff in those 7 seconds. We can't do more than 3. That's the other thing. If you add more than 3, people forget the list. So they're tuning out. So less than 3 things, I recommend 2 because it's an easy either or. So we do public training and workshops. We also do ongoing training courses that last throughout the year, like a college course. When I say that, you can remember both of those options, and I didn't go on forever. Most of the time, people will say, that's interesting, what do you do, or something, and we can go into the benefit statement, or the pain statement next, which is that emotional word. Now, this is hard for you because I do this training all of the time when we work with the emotional stuff and why people actually buy a lot. You probably haven't thought about this too hard. So take a second, and we're still not doing the benefits. We're still not talking about how cool we are yet. We're only talking about our customers here. What does your typical customer struggle with that's a problem you solve? And again, try just to pick 2. So do you have a question?
I'm just trying to narrow it down.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm the assistant manager at the Blue Springs South Library.
Okay.
And so we help people with technology training, we help people find resources for their business or their school project or just...
Mm-hmm. So what's the number one reason people call up the library? What are they trying to accomplish?
Usually they're trying to, most of the calls we get are people looking for books or movies or something.
Okay.
Stuff to read.
So this might not be the best pain, but the way we translate that into a pain statement is we look for people struggling to find their resources to complete a school project or a business goal or project or something like that. It's hard for me sometimes to do for other people, but think about that. So we want a pain word in there, a struggling, frustrated, worried about, any of those kind of pain words. What are your customers worried about? The 2 things. I've done credit card processing a lot, so I can do hers. We work with people who are concerned they might be paying too much on their credit card processing fees.
That's what
Good. Or they're frustrated by their credit card processing system and that it's not really easy to use and streamlined and all the information goes into one place. So see how we can put 2 kind of feelings that people commonly have? All right, I got another book. Who wants to be the example on this one? You got one? Good.
Are you wanting the pain statement?
Yeah.
I help people with headaches, neck pain, and low back pain.
All right, good. You have actual pain.
Literally.
I do. Not anymore.
That makes it, yeah. You have customers with actual pain.
Patients, yes.
That makes it easy. So yes, that's a perfect thing. The only thing I would say is you could have put a feeling word in there. So they're frustrated with lower back pain, or they're concerned about a neck pain, or they've given up trying to fix a lower back pain. When you do that, people go, oh, wow, you're that good. You work with people that have given up from their other things, or they're tired of living with lower back or neck pain. Like those kind of things, it's a more powerful pain than just, oh yeah, I hurt, right? But that is good. That's easy. All right, now this one I don't have to do a lot of coaching on typically, which is the benefit statement. The only tip I want to give you here is, again, if your customers can, or your competitors can say it, you don't get to use it here. So what is your unique selling proposition? What makes you solve those problems you just mentioned better or different than everybody else? Who's got a very unique selling proposition? Sure.
Just the benefit statement or the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, go ahead and do the whole thing. We'll make sure that it matches.
I'm Jacqueline with the library, and we help people who are struggling to find the information or items that they're looking for. We also give them free access to tons of content they can get from home or their office.
Okay. Read it again one more time.
I'm Jacqueline with the library, and we help people who are struggling to find information or items that they're looking for, as well as giving them free access to tons of content they can get to from home or their office.
Okay. Good. It flows. I feel like you can do that even as a good pain one, but we can do something on that benefit statement that is why the library is different now. So I would share something like, a lot of people don't know that the library now does DVD rentals, workshops and programs, information you can access from home, Reference USA, whatever you think the most unique part about the library is too. And maybe even, people forget they pay a lot of money for internet access to things that are available for free still through the library. And I just gave a book to the library. All right, anybody else have one they have questions about?
Well, not to get another book or anything,
Yeah.
but on the credit card processing end of my business, if I can't save you money on your processing fees, you will receive a $250 Visa gift card,
Okay.
just for letting me try.
Okay. It's good, but it seems like a little bit early for an offer for them. And I would rather put in something that is how you save them money, why you're so good at it. Because we can do this probing question in the fourth part. We can put in like that offer of, say, we'll take a free evaluation for it. If we can't save you money, we'll give you $250. That's kind of the call to action. But what I'm thinking is, we are really good at saving people money on their merchant fees. We work with multiple vendors or whatever it is that makes you different that allows you to save people money. Put that in there first, and then say, in fact, we've gotten so good at it that if we can't save people money, we'll give you a $250 gift card just for letting us take a look at it. Would that be something that you would want to do? So she just transitioned us into the probing question or contact information. The end of your 30-second commercial depends on how you're delivering it. If you're up in front of a room, you probably just want to say contact information. You can find it on our website. You can call the library or come by, and we'll do that. Just do general contact information. If you're talking one-on-one, it makes more sense to do a probing question, which is, I don't suppose that'd be something you'd be interested in on the $250 gift card. Or do you guys ever look for research or lists and things with your company where you need to find more information? If I was the library, or who else do we have in here?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, chamber.
Yeah. So I don't suppose you've ever considered joining the chamber. You'd be interested in coming to a networking event? That's the probing question that allows them to start talking. So what we found is, in really good conversations, right, we want to give them something interesting to think about, and then we want to shut up. And we want to give them a chance to talk. Again, there's been psychological studies that people like you more when they are talking. So as a good salesperson and a good networker is we want to give them something interesting and say, hey, we do all this crazy cool stuff. Is that interesting at all? And find out what their feedback is. Do they have any experience with it? I can't tell you how many times I've had salespeople go on and on for me, and I'm like, I already go to the library once a week to do my research. Thanks, though, for that. Like, they didn't give me the chance to share, or we already use you guys. Sometimes I'm a customer of theirs, and they didn't even know. And I'm like, actually, I bank at Commerce Bank, but thanks for sharing that 5 minutes of information. And they haven't done that to me. That was just my example. So we want to give them that out. We want to get permission to either keep talking or find out what their questions are about how we do that. Does that make sense? Any other questions on this one?
Well, in some training I've had before, you started out with, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to join the chamber and take advantage of it? Is that still a...
It's close, but Bonnie brings up a thing. We want to ask the question in the negative, not the positive. But the way you phrased it was actually back to the positive. Any reason why you wouldn't want to? So you did 2 negatives, which flipped it back positive. I said, I don't suppose you'd want to look at your credit card fees. Is it a negative way? If we step back, then it allows them to be positive. So they say, actually, yeah, that'd be interesting. We've been, I've been upset about the fees lately, and they come towards us. That's the ideal result. So a lot of people have been taught in sales to be the positive person. Say, I'm sure you'd want us to look at your invoices this afternoon, right? Well, then you're like, whoa, like this is, we're getting married on the first date here. Take a step back and let's just have a conversation. So we want to be negative and we want to pull back a little bit. You probably haven't ever thought about joining the chamber, have you? Lets them say, well, oh yeah, of course we have. We're members. Or, no, really I haven't. And say, interesting. Well,
And why would you ask it that way instead of saying, have you ever thought about joining the chamber?
that one's okay because it's neutral. But what we don't want to be is positive. We don't want to push on it. What we found is pushing positive stuff only gets people to push back negative.
Well, give me an example of that, pushing positive, in the chamber example.
Let's get you started right now.
Yeah.
So
Something
you
like
want to
that.
sell them on email.
Yeah, so what we found is, and this separates you from everybody else networking, so it's one of those things to get attention is if you say, the chamber has been around for 100 years and we have 200 members and we're all excited and we're so great, don't you want to join the chamber today? Then they're like, what? Like, I tuned out when you started talking about the 100 years. Now you're jumping on me. I don't know what to say. So if we take it back and we just do it really casual, we're just starting the conversation. We're not ending it, and we don't make sales at networking. We're just seeing if there's enough interest to set a meeting later is what we're doing. Then we can be negative, and it allows them to come forward. It's the same thing with introverts a lot. Since you brought up that one earlier, is if you're always talking, that person then has to be more extroverted to match up to you and get you to shut up. Where if you're talking with an introvert and you're quiet and you just leave awkward silence, somebody will fill it eventually.
What if you're always the person filling?
And there's my problem. I hate silence.
So give yourself a few more seconds or realize who you're talking to. If you're talking with an extrovert, give them more time. Some people process information slower than you do. I'm doing it intentionally slow here. So give them time. If you're talking with somebody who talks fast, uses their hands, goes all the time, you can speed up and be yourself and not worry about it. If you see that somebody is more introverted and closed and they have, lower hand gestures or covering up, go with them. What I like is people that are standing on the wall and don't know who to talk to and they look kind of bored like that. You don't go up and introduce yourself. You go up and stand on the wall next to them and look out at everybody else with them. And so you're not invading their space, you're joining their world. You're meeting them where they are, is the most powerful. Did I answer the original question about pushing? Okay. Good. I think we are pretty much out of time, so let's just do questions from here. I got 2 more books for really good questions on networking.
Question in the banking profession, everybody, the money is the same everywhere you go, so what do you you try to come up with something different, unique that you are. Of course, in our case, we're a local owned independent bank versus Commerce, United Methodist, Bank of America's, whatever, we can advertise on national TV or.
Yeah, so I might do something like that. America's Community Bank. Sorry. I'm with America's Community Bank. A lot of people don't know about us because we don't waste your money on big national television commercials. We're a locally owned bank here that works with people that are struggling to find somebody that will get to know them in their business. And they don't just want to be a number somewhere else.
That's the main service,
Yeah.
People like to talk to the same person all the time. And you gotta have people, employees that are there and know the people and know their
So
needs.
I think something like that, banks are a struggle that it takes a longer time to build relationships. It's not like somebody just switches their bank because they met somebody interesting at a networking event. So just take your time and just get to know them and show them how your service is different by not being pushy, not looking at their interest rates and all that stuff. Just leave that to the side and say, we work with people that want to have a relationship. They want to get to know somebody, have somebody get to know their business so they can solve their specific challenges and give them, better service.
The first question always is how much you're gonna pay me or how little you're gonna charge me, so.
Yeah, sure.
It's tough to.
And I love that question you brought up. I always share this when I do networking events. The best answer I've ever heard of that was a financial advisor. Some guy just playing along said, why should I move all my investments over to you? What do you think he said? You shouldn't. We just met. What do you go, give your life savings to everybody you meet on the street? Yeah, so that is a perfect example of how going negative and letting them come towards you builds trust. It actually allows them to trust you more because he's not just there to take your money. If he had said, oh, we got some great interest rates on CDs right now, or blah, 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 that person would have gone, oh, okay, he's a financial advisor like everybody else, right? And unless he hit on something that was really spectacular, probably wouldn't have gone anywhere. But by answering it in the negative, everybody gets a laugh, everybody likes him more, and they go, wow, I want to do business with that guy. He seems really cool. So think about that with yours too. It's easy to get excited because we are passionate about what we do, but just take it down a notch. And what I tell people is slightly less excited than they are. There's a balance. And when the salesperson in any environment, if the used car salesman is more excited about the car than you are, they start losing trust. If he's like, look, it's got power locks and power windows, and he's, isn't this air conditioner great? You're like, it's an air conditioner, man. Like, I don't care. You start pulling away when they get more excited than you do. So you still want to be passionate about it. You just want to give them time to warm up and stay slightly less excited than they are. We found that you really can't pull people along and get them to join your enthusiasm. You have to meet them where they are and then move with them to get them excited about it. One last book. I have Prospecting the Sandler Way. This is a brand new book that just came out last month for us. You already own it. Anybody else who's got one last good question for us? Perfect.
You mentioned following up with people when you're networking. Do you have any tips on?
Good, I do. I'm going to have to jump ahead here a little bit because we missed some of these other ones, and I don't know if I can. Might be easier to do here. Yeah, I think it's just a little slow. I did want to cover that. So, a couple of things a lot of people miss. Whenever you give a referral to somebody or you make an introduction, follow up and find out how that went. It's really how you build relationships. And maybe it didn't work out and they weren't an ideal customer. That gives you feedback about who an ideal customer is for that person you're trying to help. And it sounds like a lot of people in here are in businesses that help other businesses, like the library and chamber. So whenever you make an introduction or you're trying to facilitate business for other people in your networking, follow up and find out how that went, what happened, if that's somebody you should refer, or if they completely blew the deal for somebody, then you want to know that and get that feedback. Same thing when you receive a referral or introduction, go back and thank that person and reach out to them and say, hey, thanks for introducing me to that. I really enjoyed meeting him. If you know anybody else like that, please introduce me. Another thing, a lot of people have lost, especially with the electronic communication, really good follow-up skills. So back in the day, there was only a couple of ways you could get a hold of people, which is send a letter or make a phone call. Now there's social media, there's online reviews, you can do email and text messages. There's lots of ways to follow up. So we found some of the older ones are still really powerful. Thank you notes and thank you cards, especially handwritten, really powerful ways to keep in touch with people that you set a meeting with, or maybe you just enjoyed having a conversation with. They don't get those very often. It makes you different from everybody else. Reconnect phone calls, I call are continuing the relationship. Just because you met somebody once and had a good conversation doesn't mean that you're best buds and business partners for the rest of your life. You have to schedule regular touches for people. I found this one interesting in my life, that people don't necessarily like to be on lists. I did this when I was dating, and it didn't work well. But I'll be honest, I'm a nerd, all right? So I scheduled reminders, and I put my girlfriend on like my goals list and things. She didn't appreciate it, but what I was thinking is, you're important to me. And she's like, you need a reminder to call me? And I was like, wow, all right, that didn't work. But it is. To me, that's showing that it's important. And most of your clients and customers and networking partners aren't going to see your calendar, so that solves that problem. But what I found is it gave me a reminder. Otherwise, it's really easy to lose tight relationships over time. That it just happened. You went 3 months, a year without seeing them or bumping into them. People's lives change about every 90 days. So if you don't talk with somebody within about 90 days, it's really easy that they changed jobs, they moved out of the city, something happened, and you didn't know and you were out of the loop. So I try to, especially on my good referral partners, like top 20 people, set 90-day reminders to take them to lunch or turn off the screen, or just give them a phone call and check in. So those things are really good for follow-up. And then lots of other stuff. So any other kind of trigger events. LinkedIn gives you birthdays and work anniversaries and things. Just keep those recontact touches going. We are out of time. Thanks. If you have anything else, you got my cards and information over there. Be happy to do it. We do about 70 different business talks like this. So if you ever need a speaker for another group you're in or your company or anything, we'd be happy to do that too. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next session is June 17th, and that is Al Bonner from the Examiner, and he's going to come and talk about making the most of our website and Facebook to connect with our customers. So thank you all for coming. Enjoy the sun.
Thank you.